The Super Speedway podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 170 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, at least this week, by my co-host, James Cush. James, you're still here.
I'm still here. You got me. We got to get these in quick, though.
I know.
You never know.
I know. Maybe we should record a couple this week.
It's a ticking time bomb. Well, I mean, we can do the next at least 3 episodes. You know, Harvick one here,
Right.
Hamlin one there.
Well, Hamlin or
and we'll
Truex, though. I mean, you can't go one.
Truex. Well, if he does what he keeps doing, what he did on Sunday, I don't think we have to worry about it. But
Yeah, he's done that before at Richmond too. So
yeah, that's true.
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Darlington. It was the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway Speedway. I don't know what. I think it's Raceway, right? Darlington Raceway. Who
Yeah,
cares?
Darlington
Nobody.
Speed-
I'm the only one who cares. But anyway, Kevin Harvick gets the win, 8th win of 2020, 57th win of his career. Locks himself into the next round of the playoffs. Although, I mean, he's basically locked in through the end
Not locked
anyway.
in,
I
yeah.
mean, the guy's got so many points built up that he could give them away and still make it.
Yeah, he could sit out a week or two and he'll be fine. Yeah, that's got to be good though. I mean,
Yeah.
a race that he had no business winning, and
Right.
it came to him. I mean, what a year.
Yeah, I mean, what better round to be locked in than, you're going into 2 short track races. Anything can happen there.
Yep.
The intensity at Bristol is going to be crazy with everybody trying to get in. So, I mean, more
got
power
no
to him.
pressure.
The only
Yeah, he's got no pressure.
the only better option is to go into Talladega with a win. So,
Sure, yeah.
but
Yeah.
So old Harvick. I mean, not really a surprise here. I kind of predicted it last week when I made my pick.
Yeah.
Sorry, James.
That's all right, man. It's the thing. Like, we do these race picks, but what are you supposed to do? You got the first pick. You're either taking Harvick or Hamlin for the majority of the season. It's just one of those years where he's just. I mean,
Well-
you remember when Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers, they were super fast everywhere they went, and they kept stepping on their toes.
Yep.
And couldn't quite finish off races. I mean, they were winning. They won a championship, and they got quite a bit of wins. But holy cow! I mean, this year they've just got it completely figured out.
Well-
They're not letting anything slip.
If this wasn't the definition of a Kevin Harvick race here too, I mean, Harvick in races that he hasn't won, he's been just good enough to be right there. I mean, he's been
Yep.
super consistent. He's been in, top 5s, top 10s like crazy, and just happened to be running third when the 2 leaders took themselves out, or one of the second place guy took out the leader, I guess, and himself, and gave Kevin
Yeah.
Harvick the win. That's it. Again, like you said, it wasn't his race to win. He didn't have any business winning the race. He was going to come out with a really good points day, and it just fell in his lap. And that's what happens when
right.
you're consistent. You'll get wins this
Yep.
way.
You stay in the right position, and you're there when it makes a difference. We've seen him dominate. We've seen Hamlin dominate.
Yep.
Heck, we've seen Chase Elliott dominate from time to time on some of the races that he's won. But like you say, sometimes these races, that's why you race. You get a break, and there's win number 8 for Kevin Harvick on the season. So
Right.
just incredible. I mean, what a run these guys are on.
So Chase Elliott leads 114 laps. Martin Truex Jr., obviously the best guy on the day, leads 196 laps. Chase Elliott's leading the race, and Martin Truex Jr. must have watched Denny Hamlin's move the night before or the day before on Ross Chastain in the Xfinity race, and decides, let's take both of us out. And
Yeah,
tries a move with 14 laps to go, completely misjudges it, takes both him and Elliott into the wall, and they fall back. Martin Truex Jr. ends up finishing 22nd. Chase Elliott finishes 20th. Turns from, a guaranteed second place finish pretty much to at least a second place finish, arguably a first place finish because Truex was faster. There was no doubt he was going to pass Elliott. There were 14 laps to go or whatever when it happened, and takes himself out. So, I mean, is a win this important that he has to make this take this risk? Is this just a boneheaded move? What do you get? What do you call it?
Well, these wins are super important. Obviously you win, you move on, and you're locked in. You're good. But that second place, I don't want to say that Martin Truex Jr. was going to settle for second place because I don't think that was the move for him there. I think he had time. I mean, we were messaging back and forth a little bit on this, but he had time. He had plenty of time. He had, like you said, 14 laps, faster car. He could have picked off Chase Elliott at a better spot on the track. I don't know why he felt like he had to bonsai it with 14 to go.
The only thing I'll say is that we've seen cars the tires come apart here. We've seen cars change significantly over a short period of the run. Truex obviously had some worries about tires earlier in the race. And so, I mean, I doubt that he was going to have an issue at this point, but I mean, maybe.
You get out in front and set the pace a little bit and run your race, but I
think that's the thing is he's worried that Chase is going to do that, and if he doesn't take the chance while he's got it, I mean, I think that's just the mindset we've got now, James, is that when you got a shot, these days of riding it out are just over with. You can't afford to sit back and wait for it to come to you. You've got to take it when there's an opportunity.
Well, go ahead. I'll let you finish your point.
Well, I was going to point out. I was going to give a real unpopular opinion here, and I'll preface this by saying I haven't watched the replay since Sunday. I was going to watch it before we recorded the podcast, but I didn't get a chance to. But here's the unpopular opinion for me: this was Chase Elliott's fault.
Oh,
lift, man! He's coming underneath you. He's going to slide up the track, lift, and cross him over. Back off.
That's an interesting take. I have not heard that take yet.
I mean, seriously, both drivers could have given some here. Somebody's got position on you on the inside. I mean, Truex threw it in there. He threw it in there.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, right? Yeah. I mean, how many times have we given drivers, grief about not going for it, right?
Right. Exactly.
You take it easy. You don't go for it, and and in this case, Chase Elliott was trying to defend his position a little bit. I'm not going to give him too much grief for defending his position. But, you're right. I mean,
if this happened yes, there were 14 laps to go. If this happens at a different point in the race, if this happens earlier in the race, it doesn't happen because Chase is going to lift more. Truex isn't going to throw it in there as hard. It's a matter of look, there's 14 laps to go, but this is a 500-mile race. We're at the end of this thing.
Right.
I mean, so you just don't know when you're going to get that other opportunity.
Exactly. And if you're Chase Elliott too, Kevin Harvick made some comments about it after the race about how, the playoff really lines up well for Chase Elliott to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places where he's good at, he can get wins. But this is kind of a bonus, and we'll talk about another guy where this is definitely a bonus finish here in a minute. But running at a bigger intermediate style track, I know Darlington's its own beast, but not typically where you see Chase Elliott having some really good runs, and to let it get away. I know it stinks, but he could have really given himself an easy pass into the next round. So
this hurts Elliott more than Truex because look, Truex is still 16 to the good. He's sixth place in points. He's clicked off second and third place finishes like nobody this season. This is a risk that he could afford to take going into that turn, and I think that's part of the reason it happened too.
And he'll be good at Richmond, and Chase. Chase will be great at Bristol too. So it's these guys are going to be fine. They're
neither of them can afford another bad one in this round.
Yeah.
But again, I think both of them. If there's two guys that could afford to take a risk, the only ones who could afford a bigger risk than this would be Harvick or Hamlin.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's I don't in the end is it going to hurt them? I don't think so. I think both of them are going to move on to the next round. So
yeah, I think they're going to be fine.
The only thing it's going to hurt is it's going to be those playoff points that now Harvick has extras of that are going to help him in the further rounds, and it's going to lock him into that final four pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so I mean that'll hurt in the long run, but yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: was it a bonehead move? Yes. Should he have done it? No. Am I glad he did it? Yeah, because it gives us something to talk about, and it makes the race more exciting. And I would have rather seen Chase Elliott win the race, so that's coming from me. So
yeah, and you're totally right about this hurting Chase more than Martin, because if you look at the total points that were stacked up, Martin got 2 playoff points, very valuable. But he also finished 10th in the race in total points earned. He finished with 35 points, so still a really good day. He won both those stages, so I mean, there's 20 points right there. Chase Elliott not so lucky. He's 12, 13, 14, 15, he's 16th in the race in total points, no playoff points earned. So there's a 10-point gap between him and Martin Truex. So yeah, definitely a bigger hit because Martin won those 2 stages. So maybe that plays into the equation a little bit too, where you've already got 20 points in the good. Go for it. Go try to get the win.
2 guys that helped him out this weekend. Ryan Blaney, his team decides to start off with a deficit.
Yeah, big time.
Some discussion about what happened. So some weight was left in the car. Team says it was left there by accident from setting the car up in the shop. Based on COVID procedures and stuff like that, I could see it being the case. But there was some talk on Jeff Gluck's podcast this week that this is not something that has been uncommon this year, that there's been some issues with, helmet bags being brought to the car that because of COVID that wouldn't normally be brought to the car that have weight in them that's being left in them, things like that. So this is a lot of the stuff. You kind of feel like some of it doesn't happen by accident. Like these guys are too good to make this silly of a mistake, but
they have all these checklists and things that they're running through and trying to.
Either way, he starts with a deficit, then manages
better than that.
He manages in the first stage to basically get rid of that deficit and correct things, and then has the issue with in the pits and had to pit coming to the green, and that was the end for Blaney. 17 back now, and then Matt DiBenedetto was just awful all day.
Yeah, no factor for him.
He's definitely underwhelming this year, whether it's the team or DiBenedetto. He's had some good runs, but for the most part, not what any of us expected in this car. That being said, we're going to Bristol in 2 weeks, and could turn it all around.
Turn around, yeah. You could get himself in there, fairly quickly.
But when you put that much pressure on a guy going into a track that is, you got a Ricky Stenhouse situation again, and
yeah.
There's too many guys counting that Bristol race to get in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of pressure there. And depending on how Chase Elliott does this week, there's going to be something for him there. So, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on when we get to Bristol, I think.
Yeah.
Boyer, he's on the outside looking in. A lot of stuff.
One guy that I think a lot of us had pegged to be out in the first round managed a second place finish. Austin Dillon, and man, he was coming. I didn't think he was going to get that close in the last lap, but he almost gave Harvick a run coming out. How great would it have been? How fun would it have been to see Austin Dillon spin Harvick coming to the line to get the win in the Southern 500?
And to get another crown jewel in his resume.
I know he's becoming Jamie McMurray. I mean, already.
Exactly. Yeah, you stole my point. Dang it. Yeah, I was thinking that before the podcast. I'm like, I'm going to compare Austin Dillon to Jamie McMurray, and it's going to catch Eric off guard. No, nice work. No, I mean, that's literally. I mean, where did he come from? Just an awesome run,
man. And I mean, really cool. we've really seen that team turn around this season, and you could give some of the credit to Tyler Reddick because Reddick's brought a lot to that team. But I think Dillon's been improving too. I think the new Chevy nose has helped. There's a lot of factors that have gone into making Childress back to a competitive team, and I think a lot of it has to do with Hendrick struggling too. There's room in the Chevy camp for another team to do well, and Childress is gaining ground, and it's good to see.
There was a point in this season we were talking about Austin Dillon not being the better driver of the two at Hendrick or at RCR, excuse me, and that's not the case now. He's, I don't want to say one race here is a be all end all for him, but he's definitely.
No, but he's got a legit win this year too, and he's run consistently well.
He's a legit playoff driver, and he's like I mentioned earlier. Now he's a race that you don't think he would run that well at, and he's got some points that you wouldn't expect him to have, and he could get out of this next round here.
Yeah, he's going to a couple tracks that he's not bad at.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Where the speed doesn't make as much of a difference, and he can make it up. So it's going to be he's setting himself up well. I mean, at least to get out of this first round, I think it's looking pretty good for him.
Yep. All right. Anything else with this particular race? Bubba Wallace has issues with the transmission, finishes 38th. Really bad day for him.
Yeah.
John Hunter Nemechek wrecked, 36th for him.
Yeah, that was he hit the wall pretty good.
Yeah.
Sparks flying and everything. He was heading into the wall. Wasn't looking great for him. I thought Denny Hamlin's team, that was just a weird
Yeah.
way to start the playoffs for them.
Well, Denny, I mean, so I was listening to, I think it was again, Jeff Gluck's podcast this week. There was a lot of crap that was given to Quinn Hoff earlier this season. There was a lot of crap given to Ryan Preece earlier this season for pitting when they shouldn't be coming to pit road, like pitting from the middle of the track. And I mean, Denny's attempt at a pit stop was pretty darn rough for a guy who's a championship contender this year, right?
Yeah, wasn't great. Wasn't great, and just this is the kind of stuff that always worries me with Hamlin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets into the playoffs now. He's had a great year, and this is just a weird race. And I don't know, just weird mental mistakes. Wasn't quite there.
Get him out of the way in the first round. Get rid of him before Phoenix.
Yeah, get rid of the bugaboos right now. That's right. Yep.
Let's see. Anybody else really surprised? Eric Jones gets a 4th place finish. I know that because that earned me an extra point in our picks this week.
I lost you a point.
No, what's that?
It lost you a point.
Oh, I did. That's right. You had Eric Jones. Never mind. You had Eric Jones. I have those numbers wrong. Then let me fix this.
Oh, see, look at that.
I was trying to take a point from you.
You get in charge of the list for one day.
That's why you should do notes. Yeah, so Eric Jones. Oh, great. The dog's going to bark now. William Byron.
Thanks, fella.
Yeah. William Byron with a 5th place finish.
The Hendrick contingent, I would say, ran really well. Bowman was good. And you said, Chase and yeah, the whole crew. I mean, yeah, it was a good show. Good showing. Even, Jimmy didn't have the finish for the Hendrick guys that he probably could have, but he earned 34 points on the day. He was running really well, had some good stage finishes and had a good run going. So I think he was second in stage 1, wasn't he? Jimmy Johnson, he was up there.
He was good. I mean, he was good earlier this season at Darlington, so not really a big surprise there. Brad Keselowski, how about saving his day?
Yeah, that was big. I actually benched him on my fantasy team because I had him in the starting lineup. And when I seen that damage on his car, I was like, I'm just going to move him right out of here. And wow, he came right back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought he was done. Finishes 11th place.
Yep. Good save.
Yeah, definitely. Cole Custer finishes 12th. Not terrible for his first official playoff race in the Cup Series. Still outside looking in as far as the standings, but he's only 3 points back, so still some room to.
It's tight back there. Ryan Blaney, we talked about him, but yeah, he's looking up at everybody, which is is weird. That's not the way you want to start it.
Let's talk about that. 4 guys outside looking in right now. Clint Boyer, he's actually tied for 12th with Eric Almirola, but due to the tiebreaker is out currently. Cole Custer, 3 points back. Matt DiBenedetto, Ryan Blaney, both 17 points back. 17 points back in the first race of the round is a pretty big hole to start digging out of right off the bat.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to be at all.
Both those guys have Bristol that they'll be counting on for a win.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. It's not looking good. I felt like Ryan Blaney was going to be in a much better position even with the penalty. I thought, he'll be fine. And then he goes out there and runs 24th, and it's just not a factor. It's just that's a tough start to the playoffs, and we see it. He could be that guy. It's like, wow, he's out already.
Yep.
That would stink.
And usually these guys that are at the back after the first round don't recover, but we'll see. I mean, that's the system allows you every chance to dig out. I mean, all it takes is a win, and you get to start fresh for the next round. So
exactly,
we shall see what happens there. Kevin Harvick obviously advances the next round. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman are your top 5 in the point standings right now. So
all pretty fair. I mean, fairly close. Like even Logano, he's 27 points to the good. I mean, Denny Hamlin's 54 points to the good. So that just shows you the gap between second and third there. I mean, that's almost double.
You get. I mean, Harvick got 49 points for his win, and he won the first stage.
Nope, Harvick or Truex won the stages.
Oh, stage 1 position. Sorry, not points. Yep. Stage 1 position. So he was 10th and 3rd in the. So I mean, you can get a little over 55. I don't know what the actual number is, the highest you can get in a race, but Hamlin's basically a race ahead right now.
Yep. Yeah, he's good. He doesn't have to worry. Just go out there and have a good race at Richmond, and you'll be fine.
Joey's another one that had, got some damage early. Kind of looked like his day was going to get thrown away. Still managed a third place finish. So good on him. He's 27 points to the good there.
Yeah.
22 car. So overall, I think we got spoiled with Darlington earlier this season by running a 300-mile race. 500 miles felt pretty darn long there. I don't know about you, James.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely. I wouldn't say it was a snoozer.
I was fighting.
But there was, when Truex and Elliott got together, I definitely perked back up. That's for sure. I didn't. I was. It wasn't sleepy, but it was a long one. It felt like that anyway.
Yeah, I was waiting for something to happen, hoping something would happen. I will admit I was delayed. I think so. Generally, when I'm delayed on NBC, I hate, and I don't know why I hate, but I hate through the field with a passion. So I skipped all the through the fields, and so that allows me to catch up a little bit. So
yeah, and I thought I don't know about you too, but I thought I know the tires and stuff were wearing during the race, but I mean the corner speeds were ridiculous. Those guys were hugging. They were on the apron, and Darlington's not a wide track, so the apron still seems like it's pretty high, but I mean they were moving across the outside of the track. So
I'm glad you brought that up, James, because I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So you've, I think, come to the conclusion before I did on this aero package. I have come around and I'm over it. I'm over the 550 package. I'm over the high downforce. We've seen some improvements with it at some tracks, but I think the overall has been a negative, and this track is a perfect example of it because they could run the apron all the way around the turns because of the downforce they had, and that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, they were hugging it pretty hard. Like we haven't seen at Darlington before.
Right.
I mean, usually you see guys, guys will venture down there, but you can't hold it for too long. Your tires wear out, and you're with the higher horsepower packages that we've had in the past.
I noticed it earlier in the season that they were doing it, and I'm like, what in the world? How are they doing that now? And they never did that before. And then I think Todd mentioned the downforce this weekend, and it's like, that's why they've got so much more downforce now. There's so much more grip in the cars that they can just hug that bottom and stick. And it's just
give it more gas to the corners without worrying about the car slipping. I mean, they can really, like it just corner. We talk a lot about corner speed, and that's what we're seeing at that instance right there too.
If we're going to get a green-white checker every race on an intermediate track, then let's keep this aero package. But otherwise, let's scrap it.
Well, there's a reason we're running 750 horsepower at the championship race.
Right.
We're taking this package to the biggest show of the year.
Exactly.
You think of the biggest races in the NASCAR season, and this package isn't there.
Right.
Bristol, your Bristols, your Talladegas, and your championship races. It's just not there. So.
Yep. All right. Let's move on from Darlington and head on to the news, James. Not a whole lot this week. We're a little early. With the holiday week, we're recording on Tuesday afternoon, but we got some huge news today. And I want to give credit where credit is due, because on Jayski's site, Jayski credits Bob Pockrass. I love Bob, but Bob did not break this news. This was broken by Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck at The Athletic. We're getting a new California.
Boy. I'm going to steal one of your lines here. NASCAR ain't fooling around.
No, they're not, man.
Wow. I mean, has there ever been a track in the history of NASCAR that's been talked about being reconfigured more than Auto Club? I mean, we've heard
Talladega, but never seriously.
Remember, we were talking about, I mean, how many times we heard, they're going to turn Auto Club into another super speedway or what have you. I mean, but they're doing it. They're really doing it. They're do something here.
So if you guys missed it, there's two links in the show notes. I've got the link to the Athletic article, which was the original article. There's a link to the Jayski information too. So those of you who don't have a subscription to the Athletic, you should, for one. And second of all, if you don't, you can still read some stuff about it. But they announced today, well, it basically came out last night at a city council meeting, that they are going to take the Auto Club Speedway, which is currently a 2-mile D oval, similar to Michigan International Speedway, and they're going to turn it into a half-mile short track. They're going to take the existing front stretch and put some turns, high-banked Bristol-like turns, at sort of the ends or middle parts of the grass and use the existing pit road ish, the location of the existing pit road, as the backstretch for this half-mile short track. And they're going to get rid of the rest of it and probably sell the property because the property values out there are insane. And there was talk about this track shutting down because of the property values. And we get a short track. It's going to be kind of, I think Jordan Bianchi described it on, they did a special podcast on The Athletic just about this news this week, and he described it as Martinsville on steroids.
Looks something like, it's like a giant paperclip. It's got a little bit of a crook in the front stretch.
Yep.
We're going to try to keep some of that front stretch structure, I guess. But yeah, it looks like it could be pretty BA.
It's pretty neat. The existing pit road suites will be the backstretch now. So talk about some prime real estate there. The suites on the backstretch, you'll have covered access to the roof of those suites when you have a suite at Auto Club right on the backstretch of the track, right up against the wall. That'll be awesome. Not much room in the infield, significantly less than Martinsville even. So they are going to have a big tunnel underneath turns 3 and 4, or just turn 2. I don't know what you want to call it because these turns are so tight. It looks like turn 1 and turn 2, and that's it. And the tunnel will go out to the garage area, which will be outside of the track. The only thing I could think of when I saw that is, how much do you want to be one of the pit crew members that now has to push a car up and down a tunnel for the lineups at the beginning of the race?
That'd be great.
But yeah, so it's a pretty neat deal, and this is a pretty much a done deal. This is the plan. This is what's in place. Still needs some approvals and stuff, but it's looking like it's going to happen.
I like it. I did question initially, not that I don't love the news, but I'm like, man, you're taking the one intermediate track that's actually producing good racing and you're going to get rid of it. But regardless, I like this a lot. I mean, this NASCAR's taking the short tracks thing more seriously and giving the people what they want. You want better racing? You want short tracks? Here you go.
Well, this is a win-win situation because, like I said, this is an area that is in high demand for property. So it's likely that usually when there's a racetrack that's not filling the stands and there's a high property value in that area, the racetrack doesn't stay there.
This is not a way to do it.
This is an area that you want a racetrack to be. It's close to LA, generally speaking.
Try to get a second date again now.
Yeah.
Get that second date back.
Yeah. I mean, so we want more short tracks. We're going to get a short track out of the deal. It looks like we're going to get a pretty awesome short track out of it. And then, NASCAR can sell the rest of the property and make a ton of money off of it. These factories and stuff in the area can make money off of, can move into that area, and everybody wins on this deal. Yep. So we're looking at construction beginning next year. And then the Athletic says 2023 for a race. Bob Pocker said 2022. The plan would be to still race on the big track right up until they switch to this one. So because there's only one race here at California, they could do the majority of the work like they did at Atlanta when they reconfigured that. Or like they did at Phoenix, they can do the outside work and then save the major part of the project for when they're not racing.
A year to make it happen. I mean, it's not like or whenever NASCAR decides to schedule it, because the schedule seems to be pretty fluid. So
the thing that interests me the most about this, James, isn't this. It's the potential for other developments. So we know that NASCAR bought a bunch. I mean, they bought ISC, and so all the tracks owned by ISC are now under NASCAR's control. NASCAR doesn't have to go to a board to suggest changes like this. They can just do it. And right. So what other things are we going to see? This popped up because, we'd heard some discussions about property values and stuff in the long-term viability of California, but we didn't race at Chicagoland this year. And there was a story earlier this year that they were trying to sell property there. So is that a possibility of Chicagoland? Maybe we take that track and shorten it up or make a change there. get rid of some of the racing surface and build a shorter track. Maybe this is just, I mean, NASCAR's put some money into these places. They put a bunch of money into Daytona. They put a bunch of money into Phoenix. We're seeing these big projects at these tracks to turn them into these new racing facilities. Chicagoland hasn't been updated in forever. So maybe instead of losing Chicagoland like we thought we might, maybe they do something like this there.
Yeah, they've talked about the street course racing and things
Yep.
like that too. So, there seems to be a ton of flexibility on NASCAR's end.
If you were thinking that anything was off the table,
yeah,
this proves that it's not.
you can pretty much do anything now.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is what's going to happen, I mean, I wonder what will happen to Michigan someday.
Yeah.
If this is what we're doing. So
the only thing Michigan has going for it to keep it a 2-mile track is I don't think the property's in high demand.
Yeah, it's camping.
Right.
So, not that close to Detroit, people.
Right. So, but yeah, I think this is awesome. I don't see anything, like you said, the only little bit of a disappointment is that California has put on some really good races, but there's not a track on our circuit that hasn't put on some really good races.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have the memory. We'll always have the memories of what Auto Club was, and we'll move forward and make new with what we've got. Make a new history.
And if we're going to run 550 horsepower cars, lower horsepower race cars, we don't need the big tracks anymore.
Right.
We don't need tracks that sit, 200,000 people anymore, because we're not drawing 200,000 people to the track anymore. So that makes these short tracks more of an opportunity. And,
we're not trying to win like we were back in the boom of the late 90s, early 2000s. We don't need that. We don't need the bent front straightaways to get it, an extra couple 100,000 people.
Well, shoot, back in the mid 2000s, they could have built a flat track that, had it could have been the most boring design, no banking in the turns, anything, and no visibility, and they still would have sold the place out. Now you got to have a good track to do that. So, all right,
pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what else to say about it. It's pretty neat. The rendering is on the Athletic article if you want to check it out. I think Pockris has it in his tweet as well. It's a pretty cool layout from the looks of things, and I'm excited about it. I mean, it's a win-win. Everybody wins on this deal.
Heck yeah, they do.
So
I love it.
I might be in line to head out to California. And,
why not, right?
And check this sucker out.
My brother lives out there now, so
there you go.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to make a trip.
Maybe this will be the first race I fly to go cover. I don't know.
First post-COVID race, and my brother's not too far from LA, so I'll just have to give him a shout. Hey, man, you got a couple of bums coming to hitch a ride or hitch a place to stay for a little while.
There you go.
I'll make it happen. I'll make a call right now. I'll get the reservation.
Sounds good. All right. Not really much else in the news. Like I said, it's pretty early in the week still, news-wise. First week of the playoffs. Don't really expect a whole ton of stuff to break. Expect maybe more announcements, that sort of thing, to start as we hit the end of elimination rounds. But Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch will be without their crew chiefs this weekend due to some suspensions following the race at Darlington. Both lug nut penalties, weren't they?
Yeah. Good job, boys.
Each. I get that we need to do something. These lug nut penalties. I don't know. Next year we won't, or 2 years from now we won't have to worry about them because we'll have one lug nut, and if it's loose, the car will crash. So,
yeah.
I hate lug nut penalties. I mean, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Harvick, because pretty sure when they looked at his lug nuts when he came in, there was one missing on the left rear. So,
I didn't see anything about that though either.
No, me neither. But the official certainly pointed and held up one finger. So I don't know. Maybe he was saying it was okay, but I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of that, the Harvick, real quick, the guy who does the camera for the burnouts now, Brave,
yeah, dumb. So let's put it this way.
I just wanted to touch on that. I forgot about it earlier, and I wanted to mention that.
I am legit scared every time he starts moving into the smoke.
Yeah, I know.
And I know how those cameras work. He's closer than it looks like he is.
That's why I say, is he brave or dumb? Because I can't figure it out.
I don't know. So I get nervous every time these guys do burnouts. I mean, you're talking a car that's 800 horsepower or, 550 at least, that, even when they're cruising down the front stretch coming to get the flag are going 60, 70 miles an hour, and they're not belted into the car.
I know.
There's no helmet on, nothing. If they hit something, they're going flying. When Larson used to do a spin through the grass with no steering wheel on, that scared me.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was insane.
I mean, they're wrapped into the seats and stuff, so I'm assuming that, they wouldn't jump out of the seat like you do in your passenger car, but still.
Yeah, I know.
That's all that stuff. Those are those things that we just all take for granted, like it's no big deal until something happens, and then everybody goes, "Ooh, wow, can't believe we used to do that. Can't believe we used to have the flag man and the flag stand without a helmet on." That sort of thing.
Or there was a safer barrier, or there wasn't a safer barrier in that spot.
I know. Every time I watch a replay of somebody hitting a wall without a safer barrier, it just cringe.
Yeah, I stumbled across. I know we're in tangent world. Here we go.
Hey, there's no news. Might as well talk about something.
Yeah, no, I quit. I was watching. I saw a highlight of Dale Earnhardt's '96 crash at Talladega, and man, I mean, how many times I've seen that accident, and I'm just like, wow, that was wicked without the safer barrier. I mean, with or without a safer barrier, that's a wicked hit.
Well, he had two like that coming out of the trial. Well, that was the one on his own, right?
That was the one where Ernie hit Sterling, and Sterling got into Dale, and that was a big mess.
Well, then he had the one with Bill Elliott too, where they did the exact same thing.
Yeah, and he broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
In the one I was just like, holy. So it's like watching the NFL in the '90s before we knew what concussions really were.
Right.
It's like jarring. I'm like, oh God, we used to race like that. So,
or hockey,
anyway, that's my take.
Hockey back in the day when all checks were checks to the head.
Well, hockey, remember? Well, this is before our time, but hockey. I think about hockey and no helmets. I'm just, what the hell?
I know.
You guys are crazy. Goalies wearing no helmets? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's crazy. Only other news thing, we talked last week about Germain Racing on the 13 car with Geico not potentially not coming back. We got word this week that is official. Geico will not return to Germain Racing next season. They also will not be sponsoring any Cup team next year. They will continue with their sponsorship of the series. So my question is this another example of NASCAR is this worse because NASCAR doesn't have one primary sponsor? They've now got four, that this takes four sponsors away from teams potentially? Or is this just a COVID thing that it just happened this way and it's just luck of the draw?
NASCAR work something out here. That's my biggest problem with this.
I think that's part of what the deal was that they were doing. So,
yeah, it sucks because Geico's been with that team forever.
Yeah, they have.
They're going to keep spending money in NASCAR. But I guess, what's more valuable? You want to be a premier sponsor in NASCAR? You've got your signage all over every restart. So it's not like you need Kyle Busch out there hawking your insurance,
Right.
Up front, because you are up front. Every time there's a restart, you're there.
Yeah, and I guarantee you they're spending a heck of a lot more money for that signage on the front stretch than they are on Ty Dillon's race car.
It's not like Germain Racing was going anywhere with the money that Geico was spending. So I guess there's that too, but still it's pretty awful.
It sucks every time you lose a sponsor.
The fact that the sport swallowed the sponsor on you, that, it's not like Junior Johnson took Winston, when Junior Johnson took Winston back,
right.
To the series, to sponsor the series. It's not that kind of situation. So I hate it. I hate it for Germain Racing. And I know there's some rumors out there. We don't have to get into it about, the driver as well. Maybe not continuing. So who knows what else is going on with that team, but it sucks that we're going to lose another one of our, I won't say they're a top tier team in the sport by any means. They're a mid tier team, but still we need, what are you going to do? You're going to keep filling the field with more Rick Ware racing? Right.
That's the thing is we need these mid tier teams. We need these guys that are going to contend once in a while, but they're going to fill the 15th to 25th or 30th positions,
with potential talent too. Ty Dillon's still a potentially really good, he's still young.
Well, if nothing else, you need these rides for people to go to work their way up, although that isn't the system anymore. But,
right.
That used to be the system. You'd go run one of these teams for a couple of years and prove that you could do it and then move up. But, now you go and you're running for JGR and the local gas station auto series at the, whatever, it's like, You're
Yeah, I know.
there's
I know.
JGR signing kids at 8 years old.
Yep. Yep.
So
Toyota Development Racing, and then whatever.
yeah.
Man, yeah. It's
Shoot,
crazy.
we got to be only a couple years away from Brexton Busher running in an Xfinity car or something, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Sure, he's got the deals all set. He's ready.
Yeah, he's got a sponsor, man.
Yeah, Dad'll take care of it. It's all good.
Yep. Dad and Grandpa, if you're watching the series.
Grandpa. Yeah. Poor Grandpa. Man.
Kyle doesn't take any crap from him, does he? I mean, he
does not. I've seen enough of it. If you think he's that way just because he's dealing with media, no. He treats his family that way too.
Kyle knows everything and everybody else is an idiot. That's Kyle's attitude.
Yes. Yep. Well, hey man, it got him 2 cups.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, you never know.
Whatever you can do.
I mean, he's one to mention too this weekend. He ran decent at Darlington. He's still a guy. There's been a lot of comparisons thrown around this season to Tony Stewart back when Tony Stewart.
Yeah, my corner. I think I had that corner.
Yeah.
Everybody else is. But it's a good point.
Yeah.
You just gotta be hot.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. All right. Anything else, James? Any news I missed?
I think we're good, bud. That was I know we're getting this podcast in the can early this week, but news always breaks after we record anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. We move into Richmond Raceway this weekend. It is the Federated Auto Parts 400. We get an Xfinity Series doubleheader this weekend, and we get the Truck Series back at Richmond as well. James, last week we split on the. I got an extra point because of Harvick. So I didn't give myself the extra point. So okay, we're good now. Jeez, I'm terrible at this. All right, 35-29 is now what I lead by.
I was creeping back, but you got that Kevin Harvick above me, so you got the W.
Yep.
Nice work.
27 races, 35-29. I picked Kevin Harvick for the win. James went with Danny Hamlin. I was pretty nervous about my Kevin Harvick pick because he was kind of nowhere to be found until, as we already talked about, managed to get it in the end. James went with Eric Jones, who finished up front. Tyler Reddick was way back. So there you go. And so James gets the first pick at Richmond this weekend. Who are you going with, James?
God, I don't know if I feel like I need to go off the grid just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, go off the grid. Give it to me. Just give it to me.
What am I supposed to do? I pick Harvick and Hamlin every week. That's like, I don't know. Well, I'm not technically going off the grid that far. I'm going to take Martin Truex Jr. here. He seems to be becoming more of a short track specialist. So give me Martin Truex. He won the last 2 races at Richmond, so I like my odds there. And we'll see what happens. I feel a little nervous not picking one of the dynamic duo, but I'll take Martin Truex Jr.
Well, and I am going to then, since I've still got some room to play a little bit here. Right. So I'm not going to go too far off the grid either, but I am going to go off the grid. It actually is pretty far this season, but finishes at Richmond, and it's not that far off the grid. And I'm going to say Kyle Busch gets himself into victory lane, locks himself into the next round of the playoffs, and starts his championship run for 2020 with a win this weekend.
But over 300 laps in the last 2 races at Richmond. So, I mean, he didn't get the wins that Martin did, but he's led more laps, so take that for what it's worth.
There you go. Non-playoff driver.
Yeah, this is interesting. I like the non-playoff driver aspect of this because it, like last week we left Jimmy Johnson off the board, which wasn't it, didn't really work out. I had the highest pick, but still makes it interesting.
I am going to go way off the grid with this one. Again, not so much after this weekend, but I'm going to go Austin Dillon as my pick.
Playoff driver, though.
Oh, he is. No, that's right. He is a playoff driver. That's right. Never mind. I won't take Austin Dillon. Skip Austin Dillon. Let's go right behind him in the average finish and go Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
That's a good pick. All right. I like that.
Should I tell you who I was going to go with?
Well, I think I might take him.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, there's 2 guys who I think are going to be decent, but I'm going to take the other one, I think. I'm going to take Jimmy Johnson. Okay. I think he'll have a solid run there. I mean, I don't know if he's not going to win, but I think he'll be solid. I was also looking at Ryan Newman, though.
Yeah, Newman's
I'll
a good
take Johnson.
pick here. I was thinking Eric Jones. I don't really know why.
He's going to be high. He's going to be, this non-playoff pick. I feel like he's going to be one of our favorites. We're going to pick him quite a bit.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson's a good pick. That's a good one to go up against Ricky Stenhouse Jr. too.
Yeah,
and that'll make that non-playoff driver interesting this week.
He's got a top 10 there. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Man, Jimmy's got to get a win. He's got to get a win this season.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen for him, man. I
don't think it is either, because it just, again, it's their percentage thing. When Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick are winning the races that they're winning, it's like when Jimmy was winning championships. There's just not room for somebody else to win.
What I want to see it happen is, can we get a throwback Johnson performance at Martinsville?
Yeah.
Just see him get one more grandfather clock. He's got like 8 or 9 of them anyway. Let's get one more.
Right. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Great place for him. I feel like, he's been so great there over the years. That would be a great place for him to get one. But we'll see. We'll keep looking ahead, and who knows, man. Sometimes the racing gods shine down on you. They gave Matt Kenseth one more. I know he's been hanging around, but they gave him one more at Phoenix. They gave Stewart one. They gave, heck, Dale Jr. didn't get one, but Jeff Gordon did. It comes and goes, but sometimes you deserve. Jimmy, I hate using the word deserves with anything like this, but that guy deserves to get at least one more.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so here's a question for you, and this just made me think of it, James. Jimmy Johnson obviously be a huge fan favorite to get a win right now. When Jimmy was winning races and winning championships, nobody could stand seeing him win. Kevin Harvick right now, is Kevin an anomaly? Is Kevin a guy that's out there winning a ton of races, but doing it at the point in his career that the fans like it?
Yeah, he's at that age. Kyle Busch hasn't quite jumped that shark yet. But Kevin's one of the old guard, and when you become the old guard, you can't do any wrong.
Right.
Kyle Busch will get there. People still don't want to see Kyle win, but this season, watching Kyle struggle like he has, I bet you we're gonna start seeing some of this trickle in. He's gonna start mass again at some point, and it's gonna really tick people off. But when he does get that first win after this long stretch, I feel like there's gonna be a little bit of this, a little bit.
I think he's still too young.
People still like seeing Denny Hamlin win too now, because he's technically the old guard now too. Man.
And that's the thing. It's so interesting right now, because so often you've got guys that everybody wants to see win, but the guys that end up winning the championship or dominating the season are guys that people are just sick of seeing win. But I don't see that with Harvick right now. And I'm with you with Denny. I think both of them are semi-fan favorites right now, and it's a really different thing that we're dealing with in NASCAR right now that we don't normally see.
I'm not bothered by either Harvick or Hamlin winning a bunch of races. It's really weird. I'm glad you brought that up, because I haven't really even thought about that much. But yeah, I guess maybe because it's not Kyle Busch is part of it too.
Maybe.
Watching Kyle Busch win 10 races a season is really he kicks everybody's butt. But then again, you've got two guys locking horns here too, which I think adds to it a little bit. So
yeah, it definitely helps that they're going back and forth.
Hey, Kevin Harvick's going to get over 60 career wins probably by the end of the year if he keeps it up.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
All right, James, let's talk about the Fantasy League. I was going to say there's really no reason to talk about the Fantasy League this week, but I did manage a third place finish, so I guess we can talk about it. Somebody well known to the show, though, got the win this week at Darlington.
Yes, I finally got off the schneid and got a W.
Is that your first one this season?
I feel like I got no, because remember I was boasting.
Yeah, that's right.
I was leading the points during the entire pandemic, and then it all went to crap.
That's right.
So no, I don't think this is my first one in a while though. But Freight Train was right behind me, so I didn't make up much ground. And then the KB Show third, and then it's really close, but this is kind of funny. You got 188. Justin 713 got 187. Ranger got 186, and Jay Wynn got 185. So you beat them all by a handful of points.
Barron must have forgotten to pick this week, which is awesome because
he was closing ground on you, man.
He was.
Hopefully he listens to this podcast. Barron, we need you back.
No, take another week off, and then you can come back, man.
And then we got a new so we did get a new category to the league, playoff standings, and I lead that, obviously. So there you go. Only reason I was going to even mention that is because I was and then overall I did move into third, so my chasing down of the podium is finally got there. But
yeah, you
it's
can't
not,
sit here and talk about how terrible you are at this anymore.
no, well, I'm behind Hamlin and Harvick though. Freight Train and Ranger, they're having their own battle, but Freight Train
Yeah.
definitely made some more ground up the last couple of weeks. So he's in the lead. Ranger second, I'm third, and then Justin 713, Denny the Many, and Eric, you are sixth. Like you said, Barron, we need you, Barron. Come on back, man. Don't forget to pick this week.
I kind of feel like if you work in the tower at a NASCAR race, you probably deserve to win.
Maybe, but then you can't use your bench either.
That is true. That is true. And I will say that
Well,
I frequently cannot use my bench because I watch Delayed a lot. And I've actually intentionally tried more often this year to watch races live so I could use my bench. And I think it's only benefited me like once. Usually I screw up with the bench. So.
Yeah, I at least try to check in. If I am away for any reason, I will still check in to, hopefully make a save. But there are times when it doesn't happen for me. And,
I like it better when there wasn't a bench.
yeah, I know. I'm not, I don't
it's
love
nice
this,
because it
but-
gives you something to do during the race. Like you get a wreck right at the beginning. You're not just completely screwed, but I don't know. It's just another thing to think about. Shoot, I was at Michigan. I was at the track, James, and forgot to.
I know
use my
that's the
bench.
problem with fantasy. I know that's why I quit fantasy football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I know
I'd quit this, but we keep getting more people every year, and next year I want to put a prize up, so that'll make even more people join. So whatever.
Dang, dude. We're going big time, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Well, again, it won't
I'm
be
gonna win
that
that
big.
prize.
It won't be that big. So here's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe like a race win die cast of the champion winner at Phoenix.
Wow.
Like
I want that.
I got to double check the price on that and make sure that it's something that the show could contribute. But I know that they do those, and I'd want one, so maybe that'd be kind of a cool gift. Or
That would
cool
be
prize.
really cool.
Not this year, guys. Don't get excited. Next year we're talking. This year it's not in the budget.
I can't wait for Todd to message us after this one.
You're right.
Yeah. And say what?
Yep. So,
Yeah.
all right, James. I know you got a shout out this week. I'm pretty excited about your shout out. You're stealing mine, really. I mean, not this week, but the one I use every other
Typically,
week.
yeah, the Dale Jr. download. But also my shout out specifically, or my first favorite driver, Ernie Irvin, is doing the download this week. So I'll be listening in. I haven't heard it yet. I don't think it's out. I think it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I got a follow from Ernie Irvin Racing on Instagram. So I was pretty excited about that. That's looks like it's more of a PR account for him, like it's his family run deal, and maybe they're trying to make a push to get him in the Hall of Fame. Something like that is going on there.
Yeah, could be.
So anyway, I got a follow from those guys. They're putting out some good stuff, and just wanted to say thanks for doing that. And I can't wait to hear Ernie. Man, Ernie's. I don't know. When I think about Ernie, I think about my childhood, and I'm looking forward to that very much.
I'm pretty excited about this one because I haven't read Ernie's book. I know you have. There's a lot of, I know a lot of the history, but there's a lot that I don't know from that period because, we didn't have the internet back then. We weren't,
He's
following
such a
the stuff
bridge,
like we do now. Yeah.
That's the thing is Ernie's a bridge to, what was and what the sport became.
Yep.
He was a guy like right in between that and could have been a part of it had not been for some pretty bad luck. But
well, and he's one of those. I mean, I put him in that same category of like a Davey Allison or an Alan Kowicki of who, what could have happened. And, but he's still around, we can still talk to him and get his side of the story and stuff. So,
yeah. And he's been away for a little while. I know he's got some sort of issues, cognitive issues a little bit with some of the head injuries and stuff he's had. But still he's all there for sure.
Right.
So,
yeah,
I can't wait to hear what he has. I hope he's got some stories, and I know he's got some good Dale Earnhardt stories, and I know for sure he's got good Kenny Schrader stories. So
right.
I hope to hear some of those.
I'm so excited about this. I mean, guys, if you weren't a Dale Jr. fan when Dale Jr. was racing, you gotta love the stuff that this guy's doing after his career. I mean, he's
good stuff.
He's doing a great job. And then this weekend, I'll give a little shout out here, James. Dale Jr. this weekend, I believe it's for the Xfinity race, is going to call the race. for NBC. He's doing Rick Allen's role this weekend.
Nice.
I believe for the one of the Xfinity races. I could be wrong. Could be the Cup race. I don't think so though. But he talked about it a couple weeks ago on his podcast. Pretty cool deal. He got a little bit of a chance to do it this weekend at Darlington when Dale Jarrett and Kyle Petty joined him. He did a nice job, and I love broadcasting Dale. I think Dale is going to bring so much more, or continues to bring so much more to the sport as a broadcaster, and from the outside versus being a driver. Right. I think he holds a much more valuable role doing what he's doing than he did as a driver. As valuable as he was as a driver. I mean, he was. Don't get me wrong. I know we can sit here and agree and disagree of how good of a driver he was.
Parsons, man. He's going to be one of those guys.
He provided somebody for the fans to go to when his dad died, and he played a very important role in the history of NASCAR. But I think his value is, to me at least, is greater right now in what he's doing. Yeah, like you said, he's Benny Parsons. I mean,
yep, that's going to be his legacy. It's not going to be what he did on the track. Yep. I mean, he's got some moments on the track, but that's his Hall of Fame legacy. It's what he's going to be building here the rest of his career, doing what he's doing.
Yep.
He's great at it.
Yeah, definitely. The only other shout out I wanted to give is I want to shout out one more time to Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi with The Athletic.
Yeah, good stuff this week.
Breaking that story. Cool deal. If you guys are not subscribers to The Athletic, they're not paying me to say this, but I'm a subscriber and you should subscribe as well. They do great work there alone. And if you like sports in general, there's some great sports content. The Athletic does a great job of, they don't cover your traditional gamers, here's what happened at the football game. They go into different features and things that you don't get anywhere else. That's their whole goal. So definitely their app leaves a little bit to be desired, especially if you're a motorsports fan and you're only there for motorsports. It's kind of hard to find their stuff. But their website's a lot better. So check that out. Again, great job on them guys for getting the breaking news this week. We don't see them break a ton of stuff, but they got it this week. Lots more stuff coming from them, according to Jordan, too, yet on the whole California deal. So worth subscribing this week. Check that stuff out if you can. So
nice.
With that, James, where can people find you on social media if they want to chat with you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You'll be live tweeting the birth, right? When your wife has a baby?
No.
No?
No.
No, you don't think Aaron would like that?
I wouldn't like that either. This might be the last time people hear me on this podcast as a dad of one.
Yeah.
I'll be joining you in the 2 kiddo club here within the next few days. So we'll see how that goes.
Just let Erin know if she goes into labor on a podcast night or something that
we finished the podcast.
Well, I will show up at the hospital with my microphone ready to go. We can record the show anywhere.
Are you sure that's the precedent you want to have set?
Well, I mean, I won't be in the room, James. You'll have to come out, but.
Okay, good. Well, we'll do what we got to do. Podcast comes first.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yep.
If you guys want to chat with me, you can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, links to show notes, links to articles we discussed today and in past podcasts, old interviews, photos, all kinds of stuff on there. So thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And if you want to help out the show, you can do that at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. We got lots of racing again this weekend. Four races, James, this weekend at Richmond Raceway. We got 2 Xfinity races, a Truck Series race, and a Cup Series race. I don't know. Is the ARCA Series there too? Probably.
I don't know for sure about that, actually, but I'm glad the trucks are hanging around, man, because I liked them at Darlington, so I'm looking forward to that.
I didn't watch the Darlington truck race. Who won it?
Oh my God.
Was it Biffle?
No, God, no.
Was it?
No, it wasn't Trevor Bain either. Oh my God, I can see the truck in my. This is not the right.
Was it Ben Rhodes?
No.
Well, never mind. Don't tell me. I'll watch the race.
God,
I thought I saw a picture of Ben Rhodes holding up one finger, but somebody said something about Biffle, so I thought maybe Biffle won.
No, you might be right. It might be Ben Rhodes. I can see the truck. I just can't think of the name. So anyway, I don't know.
Was it a green truck?
It was blue.
Blue? I don't know. I guess I don't know what Ben.
Yeah,
that's right. They were doing throwbacks.
It was Ben Rhodes. It was Ben Rhodes.
All right.
Christ almighty. Oh,
Wow.
you can tell where my priorities are these days. Jeez.
No
Yes,
kidding.
Ben Rhodes, your Gander Outdoors RV and other stuff truck series winner.
Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series.
There you go. Thank you. I'll put $1 in the jar.
There you go.
Jeez.
There you go. All right, Truck Series racing, 2 Xfinity races, and a Cup Series race from Richmond Raceway this weekend. We'll be back. Well, I'll be back for sure. James maybe next week to break it all down and talk about the next one. We'll be previewing Bristol next week. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.